My nights at Walmart during college were marked by the hustle of the night shift. I took up a gig as a night stock person on weekends, juggling it as my second job to chip away at those looming student loans. The routine was straightforward: sign for night deliveries, do some warehouse work, and stock shelves after regular store hours. The shifts, usually running from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. or occasionally stretching to a grueling 12 to 7, were demanding but necessary. It was on July 9, 2015, a Thursday night, that an inexplicable event unfolded, etching itself into my memory. As I went about my duties in the electronics department, I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. Not an unusual occurrence in a busy store, but this time, the oddity lay in the fact that only two other co-workers shared the cavernous space with me that night: Alvin and Baco. Both wore the same staff shirts as I did. We had all clocked in together. The figure I glimpsed, however, was dressed entirely in black. Curiosity piqued, I sauntered to the end of the aisle, peeking around the shelf. To my surprise, there was no one there. Confused, I called out to Alvin and Baco, expecting a casual response. Silence greeted my inquiry, intensifying the strangeness of the situation. Dismissing it, I returned to my tasks, pushing the thought to the back of my mind. I had been suppressing the urge to relieve myself for a while, and I resolved to use the restroom after finishing my work in the electronics aisle. Just moments later, a deafening crash echoed from a few aisles away, jolting me from my concentration. I rushed to the source to find a bicycle knocked off its hook. What perplexed me was that the hook seemed intact. Someone had deliberately exerted force to dislodge the bike. As I hung the bicycle back in place, a sense of unease settled in. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. My apprehension grew as I navigated the aisles, eventually arriving at the paper and cleaning aisle toward the back of the store. It was there that an eerie noise, best described as a distorted laugh, reached my ears. The source seemed to be just one aisle away. I cautiously approached, and as I turned the corner, my heart plummeted. A man, clad entirely in black, stood at the end of the aisle, his back to me, but with his head turned so that only half his face was visible. Before I could react, he sprinted away, not toward me, but down another aisle. Bewildered, I heard his footsteps echoing, almost as if he were circling me. Faced with a decision, I opted to seek out my co-workers rather than chase the mysterious figure. The unnerving laughter and footsteps continued, and as I hurried to find Alvin and Baco, I felt like I was being circled by an unseen presence. I eventually located Alvin in the women's department and urgently informed him about the peculiar intruder dressed in black. Lacking walkie-talkies, I asked him to relay the message to Baco if he crossed paths with him. Barely able to contain my urgency, I excused myself, finally succumbing to the pressing need to use the bathroom. The employees-only restroom was situated in the warehouse section. I hastily entered a stall, placed a nest of toilet paper on the seat, I'm that person who sits when they pee, and settled in for a moment of respite. The creak of the bathroom door caught my attention, instantly triggering alarm bells. With only 3 to 4 people in the building, the unannounced visitor raised concern. "Who's there?" I called out, receiving no response. The unsettling laughter returned, accompanied by unintelligible whispering. As the sound reverberated in the confined space, a figure appeared between the crack in the door, locking eyes with me. The face was obscured, revealing only an eye. The whispering intensified, blending with the eerie echoes of the bathroom. Instinctively, I reached for my phone, realizing I had Alvin's number saved. Dialing it in haste, I relayed the bizarre events unfolding in the bathroom, urging him to come to my aid. I stayed on the line, watching as the mysterious figure left one more time before bolting out of the bathroom. Alvin, responding to my frantic call, entered the bathroom 20 to 30 seconds later. he hadn't spotted anyone on his way there. With no security personnel on duty during closed hours, we couldn't review the cameras to validate the break-in or trespassing. I contacted my boss that night, and upon waking up at 3 p.m. the next day, I found his response. He mentioned that all the camera screens displayed static footage from the previous night. No one had manually turned them off, leaving an unsettling void in our attempts to make sense of the inexplicable events. My boss believed my account but acknowledged the lack of evidence made it challenging to take any concrete action. That night marked the only instance in all my night shifts where something truly unexplainable occurred. The encounter lingered in my thoughts, an unresolved mystery that defied logical explanation. I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to that night than met the eye. As the days passed, I couldn't help but reflect on the incident. The lack of video proof left me grappling with a sense of vulnerability. What had transpired in those late hours at Walmart remained a haunting enigma, an unsettling blend of the unexplained and the unknown. The laughter, the footsteps, the figure in black, they all defied the confines of rationality. In subsequent shifts, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every unexpected noise, every distant laugh, sent shivers down my spine. The routine tasks took on an eerie quality, as if the normalcy of stocking shelves and navigating the aisles was now tainted by the lingering memory of that bizarre night. I found myself frequently checking over my shoulder, half expecting to see the mysterious figure in black reappear. The unsettling laughter echoed in my mind, a disconcerting soundtrack to my nightly duties. I confided in Alvin and Baco, sharing my ongoing unease. While they hadn't experienced the same chilling encounter, they empathized with the lingering effects it had on my psyche. The incident had left a mark on our collective consciousness, an unspoken acknowledgement that our seemingly routine workplace harbored secrets and shadows. It fueled late-night conversations among co-workers, each sharing their own speculations and interpretations of that fateful night. Some dismissed it as a prank, while others entertained the idea of a more supernatural explanation. Rumors circulated within the store, giving rise to a tapestry of whispered tales about mysterious figures that roamed the aisles after hours. The story took on a life of its own, evolving with each retelling. Some claimed to have heard the eerie laughter, while others swore they had glimpsed a shadowy figure dressed in black. The folklore of our Walmart became entwined with the mystique of that night, blurring the lines between fact and fiction. As weeks turned into months, the incident gradually faded from the forefront of my thoughts. The nightly routines resumed their normalcy, and the unsettling atmosphere that had gripped the store began to dissipate. Yet, the memory of that inexplicable encounter lingered as a spectral presence in the recesses of my mind. Life moved forward, and I eventually graduated from college, bidding farewell to the night shifts at Walmart. The weight of student loans remained, but the memory of that peculiar night took on a surreal quality, akin to a distant dream. I transitioned into a new chapter of my life, leaving behind the aisles and shelves that had been the backdrop to a mystery that defied resolution. Years passed, and the memory of that night became a curious footnote in my personal history. I often wondered if others who had worked at the Walmart during that time still shared stories about the mysterious figure in black. The store itself stood as a silent witness to the transient nature of such tales, continuing its daily operations, oblivious to the mysteries that had unfolded within its walls. Occasionally, I found myself back in the vicinity of that Walmart, whether passing by on a late-night drive or running errands in the neighborhood. Each time, I couldn't help but glance at the familiar facade, half expecting the store to reveal some lingering secret. The aisles and shelves, once the stage for a peculiar encounter, stood unchanged, indifferent to the passage of time. The enigma of that night, while never fully explained, had become a part of my personal narrative. It served as a reminder of the inexplicable and the mysteries that lurk in the ordinary corners of our lives. The laughter, the figure in black, the static screens, they all became fragments of a story that resisted easy categorization. In the grand tapestry of life, that night at Walmart remained a thread of uncertainty, a story with no neatly tied conclusion. It left me with a lingering awareness that, beneath the veneer of the mundane, there are realms of experience that elude explanation, inviting us to confront the mysteries that dwell in the shadows of our everyday existence. I never thought a routine trip to Walmart could turn into a nightmarish ordeal. It was the Thursday before Black Friday, and my local Walmart was open extra late. I found myself there around 11 o'clock, searching for a new laptop. As luck would have it, I snagged the last one being promoted for a fantastic Black Friday deal. However, my excitement took a dark turn when a revolting, dirty-looking man approached me, insisting he needed the laptop desperately. Nervously, I explained that it was the last one, but this seemed to enrage him. The man, clearly not in his right mind, began causing a scene, and my heart raced as I quickly walked away with the laptop, trying to distance myself from the unsettling encounter. As I joined a checkout line, the man continued yelling at me, creating an unbelievable scene. Fellow customers tried to lighten the mood, assuring me that the guy was just a nut. Still shaken, I left the store and headed home, eager to escape the bizarre encounter. Arriving home, my family was already asleep. Seeking solace, I went outside to sit by the pool and set up my new laptop. The tranquility was shattered when the light on the side of the house, triggered by movement, flicked on. Though it wasn't uncommon for the light to activate due to passing animals, my instincts kicked in. I cautiously checked the side of the house to ensure it was just a false alarm. Choosing to err on the side of caution, I retreated inside, locking the door behind me. I continued setting up my laptop in the living room when a sudden car alarm pierced the night. Recognizing it as my Cadillac's alarm, I rushed to the window to confirm. To my surprise, a car was parked in front of our house that hadn't been there when I arrived. In our closed-off community with spacious driveways, any car parked on the street was suspicious. As I attempted to silence the car alarm from inside, I noticed someone sitting in the mysterious vehicle. Alarmed, I retreated indoors and locked the door. My anxiety skyrocketed as I sought out my mom, who was already asleep. I urgently explained the situation, and she joined me downstairs, worry etched on her face. Peering through the peephole, my mom gasped, her hands covering her mouth. Curiosity overcoming fear, I looked and was met with a sight that made my stomach churn. A gigantic man stood on our stoop. In a hushed tone, I whispered to my mom, convinced that he had followed me from Walmart. Suddenly, the doorknob began to turn, and the man started pounding on the door. Panic set in as my mom, my younger sister, emerging from her room, and I grappled with the terrifying reality. The pounding ceased, leaving an eerie silence. Minutes later, a loud crash erupted from downstairs, a window shattered in the den. My mom and sister screamed as I directed them to run upstairs while I secured the den door. Bracing for an imminent attack, I waited, but to my surprise, nothing happened. Instead, the distant wail of a police siren signaled a remarkably swift response. Eagerly, I led the officers to the den, where they discovered the intruder hiding behind a couch. He was promptly arrested, spewing profanities and threats in my direction. Both officers confirmed that the man seemed unstable, likely under the influence of drugs. Despite the unsettling encounter, they assured us that he wouldn't be troubling us again. With that, the nightmarish episode at Walmart came to an end. Reflecting on the incident, I couldn't shake the realization that danger could lurk in the most unexpected places, even a seemingly ordinary store. While people watching at Walmart might be amusing, it's essential to recognize that not everyone in these spaces has harmless intentions. The quick response from law enforcement undoubtedly played a crucial role in averting a potentially more dangerous outcome. It was unsettling to think about how close we came to a much graver situation. The following days were a blur as we pressed charges and took steps to ensure our home's security. As the shock subsided, I couldn't help but ponder the unpredictability of life and how a routine shopping trip could spiral into a life-threatening encounter. It reinforced the importance of trusting one's instincts and being vigilant in unfamiliar situations. Days turned into nights, and the fear gradually faded, replaced by a lingering unease. The experience left a lasting impact on my perception of safety and the reality that danger could materialize at any moment. The support of friends and family became a crucial part of the healing process, offering a sense of normalcy in the aftermath of such a harrowing event. I found solace in sharing my story with those close to me, a therapeutic release of the emotions bottled up since that fateful night. Talking about it helped me process the fear, anger, and vulnerability I felt during those tense moments. In the weeks that followed, I became hyper-aware of my surroundings, noticing every unfamiliar face and unusual occurrence. The once mundane task of grocery shopping or running errands took on a new level of caution. The sense of security I once took for granted now seemed like a fragile illusion. However, as time passed, I began to regain a semblance of normalcy. The legal proceedings against the intruder provided some closure, but the scars of that night persisted. I couldn't help but wonder about the man's motivations and what might have transpired had the police not arrived so swiftly. Life moved forward, but the experience left an indelible mark on my psyche. It served as a stark reminder that danger could materialize in the most unexpected places. Walmart, a symbol of everyday life, had become the backdrop for a nightmarish episode that shattered my sense of security. As I returned to the familiar routine of daily life, I carried with me a newfound awareness of the fragility of safety. The laughter and lightheartedness of people watching at Walmart now held a somber undertone. What was once a source of amusement became a reminder of the thin line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, between routine and chaos. In the months that followed, I took steps to fortify my home's security and implemented additional safety measures. The echoes of that night lingered, but with time, the anxiety began to wane. Therapy became a valuable tool in navigating the emotional aftermath, providing a safe space to process the trauma and rebuild a sense of security. The incident served as a catalyst for personal growth, prompting a reassessment of priorities and a renewed focus on self-care. The support of loved ones, coupled with professional guidance, played a pivotal role in reclaiming a sense of normalcy. Gradually, the fear that had taken root in the aftermath began to recede. As the seasons changed, so did my perspective. The incident at Walmart became a chapter in my life, a story of resilience and the capacity to overcome adversity. The scars remained, a testament to the unpredictability of life, but they no longer defined my sense of security. In the end, the experience taught me that even in the face of darkness, there is a remarkable capacity for resilience and healing. Life, with all its uncertainties, continues, and the echoes of that harrowing night serve as a reminder to cherish the moments of normalcy and appreciate the fragility of the security we often take for granted. My name is Samantha, and I'm a 20-year-old working at Walmart in a small town called Jackson, Alabama. Since I'm not a full-time student, my boss often schedules me for overnight shifts, especially when the store used to be open 24 hours. Those late hours were prime for restocking, and even though the store was a supercenter, there were still a handful of employees working during my shift. One particular night, my shift was from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I found myself folding pants in the men's department. I usually kept my headphones in during the night since there were rarely any supervisors around to tell me otherwise. Around 11:30 p.m., a customer approached me, asking about a specific pair of pants in a different size. After informing him that we only had what was on the rack, he thanked me and walked away. But as he stood by the jeans section, putting the pants back, our eyes met, creating a slightly awkward moment. As the night progressed, the store emptied out, and I eventually made my way to the appliances section. While stocking shelves with boxes from the back, I noticed someone watching me from the next aisle. When I stepped closer, I realized it was the same customer from earlier. It seemed odd that he had been in the store for so long without making a purchase. Something felt off, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching me. To distance myself, I decided to switch to grocery work and entered the dairy cooler to fill crates with products. Amidst the humming of refrigerators, I heard the cooler door burst open. Peeking through a gap in the boxes, I saw the same customer entering the cooler. Concerned and feeling uneasy, I hid behind a box of eggs, hoping he would leave. Suddenly, the man was right there in front of me, and I screamed. In an attempt to silence me, he put his hand over my mouth, but I resisted. Pushing the box of eggs, I made a quick escape. Fortunately, he didn't pursue me. I found another stock worker, Bob, and explained the situation. The man, claiming to be from corporate, apologized, stating he was checking up on me. He then assigned me to finish the appliance section and disappeared. The next day, I contacted a manager named Margaret to inquire about a corporate visit and a man named Tom. She confirmed it was a lie and, upon reviewing the security footage, discovered the man had been stalking me. A police report was filed, and I insisted on avoiding night shifts thereafter. While I still work at Walmart, I've shifted to day shifts as a stock person or cashier. I remember the year vividly. I was around 13, living in a modest apartment complex in the heart of Chicago with my mom and older brother. Chicago, as many would attest, is an expensive city, and my mom, working 2 jobs to make ends meet, faced a daily struggle to support our small family. On one particular occasion, it was my birthday, and amidst the financial constraints, my mom managed to gift me $50 to spend on whatever my heart desired. A few blocks away from our apartment stood a Walmart supercenter, a treasure trove for us kids. The allure of this massive store, stocked with everything imaginable, was irresistible. This was also the time when the latest Grand Theft Auto, GTA, game had just hit the shelves, and my brother and I decided to check if they had any copies left. My brother, always looking out for me, suggested that I go ahead alone and join him at the front of the store once I had secured the game. Eagerly clutching my $50 bill, I ventured into the Walmart. My destination was clear, the gaming aisle. The thrill of possibly getting my hands on the coveted GTA game consumed my thoughts as I navigated through the store. Luck was on my side that day, the game was within reach. Triumphantly grabbing it from the shelf, I couldn't contain my excitement. Little did I know that this moment of joy would be eclipsed by an unexpected and unsettling encounter. As I turned to leave the gaming aisle, a stranger I had never seen before appeared, rounding the corner. Dressed in a white t-shirt, torn cargo shorts, and a Nirvana hat, he waved at me. Following the etiquette instilled in me by my upbringing, I responded with a friendly nod. That nod, however, turned out to be a grave mistake. The man approached me, extending his hand for a handshake. It was then that a putrid smell, unmistakably vomit, hit me like a wall. Trying not to make it obvious, I shook his hand reluctantly. With a raspy voice, he inquired if I liked video games, his smile revealing a set of yellowed teeth. Sensing the discomfort, I mumbled an affirmative response, feigning interest while discreetly reaching for my AirPods. Attempting to disengage, I mentioned casually that I was also looking for another game. As a precaution, I plugged in my AirPods, hoping to deter further conversation. But before I could escape the awkward encounter, he mentioned having a son who shared my interest in video games. Politely, I acknowledged this information, wished him a nice day, and hastened away, praying he wouldn't follow. Walking briskly towards the front of the store, I occasionally glanced back. My fears were validated as I noticed the man maintaining a cautious distance but unmistakably following. Panic set in, and I quickened my pace, desperately hoping to reach the safety of the front where my brother awaited. Finally, at the store's entrance, I spotted my brother standing where he said he would be. Relief washed over me, but my sense of unease persisted. The stranger, however, shifted his demeanor upon seeing my brother. Casually, he averted his gaze, pretending to peruse office supplies on the shelves. My brother shot him a disdainful look as we exited the store, the unspoken understanding between us that something was not right. Silently, we got into the car. My brother, sensing my discomfort, asked what had happened, his tone direct and concerned. After a moment of hesitation, I gathered the courage to recount the unnerving encounter. As we drove away, my brother shot a contemptuous look at the man, a protective instinct kicking in. At home, we decided not to disclose the incident to our mom. The fear of getting into trouble outweighed our concern, a decision we hoped wouldn't come back to haunt us. It wasn't the ideal choice, but in our young minds, it seemed the most prudent. Despite the relief of leaving the encounter behind, the story didn't end there. About a week later, on the last day of school, I found myself at the bus stop, waiting for the day to begin. It was around 7 a.m., a bit foggy, and I had been waiting for about 20 minutes when I heard an unusual noise down the street. As the noise grew louder, I squinted through the fog, only to witness a red pickup truck slowly approaching. Dread filled me as the vehicle rolled up beside me, and the driver's face came into view. To my horror, it was the same man from Walmart, sporting that all-too-familiar Nirvana hat. His window rolled down, and a smile crossed his face as he winked at me. Panic surged, and my heart raced as he drove away. Fortunately, the school bus arrived soon after, rescuing me from the uncomfortable situation. That day, I was more than eager to escape to the familiar environment of school, leaving behind the unsettling encounter. In the weeks that followed, I never encountered the man or his red pickup truck again. The silent pact between my brother and me to keep the incident from our mom held firm, and life in Chicago continued. However, it wasn't long before a new chapter unfolded for us. My mom received a job offer that would take us away from the bustling city of Chicago. Despite the challenges we faced there, the memories of that unnerving encounter at Walmart remained etched in my mind. Moving to a new place brought a sense of relief, and over time, the incident faded into the background, becoming a distant memory. Reflecting on that period of my life, I'm grateful for the protective instincts of my brother and the lessons learned in navigating unfamiliar and potentially dangerous situations. The experience, though unsettling, reinforced the importance of trust, communication, and staying vigilant. If there's a lesson to be gleaned from my story, it's the significance of speaking up when faced with uncomfortable situations, even if it means seeking help from a trusted adult or authority figure. It's crucial to prioritize safety over fear of repercussions, a lesson that extends beyond that particular incident and into various aspects of life. As I reminisce about those days, I recognize the resilience that comes from facing adversity, the strength derived from the support of loved ones, and the importance of being attuned to one's instincts. Life's journey is fraught with unexpected twists, but it's how we navigate them that shapes our character and resilience.